Suddenly, headlines across the entertainment world exploded with controversy as Chris Brown, the Grammy-winning R&B artist whose name has long hovered between chart-topping hits and tabloid scandals, found himself once again at the center of a storm. On May 15th, the 34-year-old singer was arrested in the United Kingdom, reportedly for an alleged assault on a music producer during a 2023 studio session gone violently wrong. But this wasn't just another legal entanglement in a career riddled with them. It happened just hours after Brown took to social media to publicly support Tory Lanez, the Canadian rapper recently sentenced for shooting fellow artist Megan Thee Stallion. The timing, intentional or not, poured gasoline on an already smoldering public perception of Brown, sparking fierce debates across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Fans, critics, and industry peers were quick to draw connections, framing the arrest as a symbolic collision between music, violence, and accountability in a post-Me Too world. Brown, who has consistently struggled to distance himself from his violent past, including the infamous 2009 domestic assault of then-girlfriend Rihanna, appeared to have reignited public outrage, this time on foreign soil. Meanwhile, media outlets scrambled to confirm details. Eyewitnesses in London reported a heavy police presence near the upscale hotel where Brown was staying, and soon enough, footage leaked showing the singer being led out in handcuffs under flashing lights and chaotic camera flashes. The alleged victim, a British producer with ties to major international artists, has yet to publicly comment, but sources close to the investigation describe the 2023 incident as explosive and career-threatening, involving verbal threats and physical confrontation over creative disagreements. What adds a deeper layer of complexity is the backdrop of Brown's social media activity just before his arrest. His vocal support of Tory Lanez came across not as mere friendship, but as an overt challenge to the growing chorus demanding male celebrities be held accountable for their actions. Consequently, Brown's endorsement of Lanez, a man convicted in one of the most high-profile hip-hop court cases of recent memory, came off as tone-deaf, even provocative to many observers. Critics argued that by aligning himself with Lanez, Brown was undermining the gravity of Megan Thee Stallion's experience and reinforcing a dangerous cycle of silence around abuse in the music industry. Others defended Brown, suggesting his support stemmed from personal loyalty, not political statement. Still, for many, the optics were unforgivable. Another instance of a powerful man backing another amid proven harm to a woman. Inevitably, the arrest became more than just a legal matter. It morphed into a symbolic flashpoint in a cultural war around celebrity impunity, gender-based violence, and the moral obligations of artists with massive influence. Brown's past became fresh ammunition for old debates. Can artists truly reform? Does talent excuse past sins? Is silence safer than standing by controversial peers? As the dust settled in London and legal proceedings began to unfold, the arrest raised more than questions about one man's actions. It reignited an entire industry's reckoning with accountability, loyalty, and legacy. At first, the internet erupted not just in reaction to Chris Brown's arrest, but over the tangled web of loyalties, violence, and unresolved pain that the event resurfaced. What might have been dismissed as another tabloid headline quickly spiraled into a multi-layered cultural conflict, powered by social media fury and mainstream media dissection. The alleged assault on a music producer, an event that had reportedly been whispered about in insider circles since late 2023, suddenly became public spectacle. Leaked DMs, rumored voice notes, and anonymous insider interviews painted a chaotic picture. Brown, reportedly enraged over last-minute changes to a beat he had commissioned, lashed out in a studio in London, shoving the producer and smashing equipment before storming out. The incident, up until now buried under NDAs and legal pressure, found new oxygen in the wake of his arrest. Simultaneously, his comments about Tory Lanez resurfaced and were dissected with surgical precision. In an Instagram story, Brown had written, "Real ones know. Stay solid, T," accompanied by a photo of Lanez from court. It was enough to ignite a digital wildfire. Women's rights groups, industry feminists, and even mainstream media outlets like The Guardian and CNN Entertainment criticized the post as insensitive and regressive. Fans of Megan Thee Stallion began trending hashtags like Yars, Protect Black Women, and Mute Chris Brown, calling out what they saw as a disturbing pattern of celebrity men defending each other despite documented harm. But supporters of Brown pushed back with equal passion, accusing critics of hypocrisy and of refusing to allow the singer redemption. They pointed to his years of charitable work, sobriety efforts, and relatively clean legal record since 2016, claiming the media always finds a way to vilify him. Some industry voices echoed this sentiment, suggesting Brown's arrest, coinciding with his public defense of Lanez, was perhaps less about law enforcement and more about political optics. Was he being made an example of? A scapegoat for an industry slow to protect women, but quick to punish a black man already branded irredeemable? Tensions rose as even other celebrities weighed in. Artists like Kalani, who had previously distanced herself from Brown, publicly condemned his remarks and praised Megan's bravery. Meanwhile, others, like Akon and The Game, offered more measured responses, urging the public to separate personal opinion from criminal allegations. These conflicting statements only fueled the fire, further dividing public opinion and drawing new battle lines across the entertainment industry. Music journalists began writing op-eds questioning the state of hip-hop and R&B, asking how the genre could evolve when its most prominent figures continued to mirror outdated and often violent views of masculinity. Underneath it all, the victim in the 2023 assault case remained largely anonymous, which only amplified speculation. Was this a calculated release? A smear campaign? Or was it finally accountability catching up to a man who's long walked the razor's edge of fame and fallout? The narrative became more than just Chris Brown versus the law. It became Chris Brown versus the court of public opinion, his supporters versus his detractors, the music industry versus its conscience. Then, just when the public furor seemed to be reaching an unbearable pitch, a leaked surveillance video from the 2023 London studio emerged, grainy but damning. It showed what appeared to be Chris Brown yelling, pacing aggressively, and hurling what looked like a glass bottle across the room. Though the video lacked audio, body language experts and online sleuths dissected every frame. The producer, later identified as a mid-level beatmaker named Eli Rowe, was seen backing away with his hands raised. This single clip, barely 30 seconds long, altered the entire tone of the discourse. What had previously been a conversation about media bias and celebrity persecution was now reframed around proof and accountability. Immediately, news outlets replayed the video on loop, social media feeds flooded with slowed-down edits, and hashtags like #JusticeForEli and #EnoughChris began trending globally. Brown's management team scrambled to respond, claiming the video was taken out of context and lacked vital information. They argued that the incident had been handled privately and pointed out that Rowe had continued working in the industry without pressing formal charges, until now. Legal analysts speculated this was because of fear, career sabotage, or hush money, fueling further outrage. The London Metropolitan Police confirmed that Brown's arrest was related to this specific incident and that new testimony had reopened the case. Simultaneously, another layer of chaos unfolded when Megan Thee Stallion herself liked a post criticizing Brown's defense of Tory Lanez, effectively breaking her silence on the matter. It wasn't an official statement, but it was enough to be interpreted as her alignment against him. In response, Tory Lanez's camp released a vague message about loyalty and realness, which further muddied the waters. The moment snowballed. Suddenly, this wasn't just about one artist's violent outburst, but a broader ecosystem of silence, complicity, and image control in hip-hop. As expected, multiple artists who had previously collaborated with Brown started quietly deleting their mutual photos, removing tags, or issuing statements of zero tolerance. Record labels distanced themselves, pending the outcome of the investigation. Publicists and insiders leaked tidbits to keep themselves clean, claiming they always knew something was off with Brown. Within days, brands that had considered sponsorships for his upcoming tour suspended negotiations. Fans found themselves in an emotional tug-of-war, with some expressing heartbreak, while others doubled down in support, citing conspiracy theories and systemic racism in media narratives. Yet, amid the chaos, a powerful narrative began forming around Eli Rowe, the victim at the center of the case. Interviews with close friends described him as a hardworking producer trying to climb the ladder, now thrust into an international spotlight he never asked for. He hadn't spoken publicly yet, but insiders claimed he was considering a sit-down interview with a major news network. This suggestion alone turned him into a symbol, either of courage for calling out a powerful figure, or of opportunism, depending on whom you asked. The media machine continued grinding, now fueled not only by scandal, but by the emotional gravity of someone caught between justice and survival in an industry that rarely protects the vulnerable. Ultimately, as the dust began to settle and the spectacle surrounding Chris Brown's arrest started to fade from the daily headlines, a deeper, more sobering conversation emerged about the long history of unchecked behavior in the entertainment industry. Brown, once considered a redemption story after past incidents, now faced an uncertain future, professionally and personally. Public opinion remained sharply divided, but there was a noticeable shift in how even his most loyal fans discussed him. Instead of blind defense, many began questioning the cycle of fame, trauma, and the limits of forgiveness. His tour dates were quietly postponed, and streaming platforms saw a temporary dip in his numbers. While not canceled in the most literal sense, he was clearly no longer the untouchable figure he once was. Meanwhile, Tory Lanez's conviction and Brown's alignment with him continued to haunt the conversation, serving as a cautionary tale about loyalty over accountability. The entertainment world, ever quick to pivot, started investing more in promoting safe artists and backing creators with reputations for integrity. Internally, Brown's team issued an apology, not directly to Eli Rowe or Megan Thee Stallion, but a generic damage control statement about growth and reflection. Critics were quick to dismiss it as performative, while PR strategists dissected it as a textbook example of too little, too late. Rowe, on the other hand, finally broke his silence in a calm, composed interview that aired on a major UK broadcaster. In it, he refrained from dramatizing the incident, stating simply that he wanted respect, not revenge, and that his story wasn't about tearing anyone down, but about not being silenced. His words struck a chord with viewers around the world. In the aftermath, Megan Thee Stallion released a brief statement affirming her support for survivors of violence and expressing her hope that the industry begins to listen to the people it often silences. Though she didn't name Brown directly, the subtext was unmistakable. Her words added weight to a growing movement inside the music world, one that challenged long-standing hierarchies and called for real accountability. Independent artists began speaking out about similar encounters with powerful figures, and industry watchdogs reported a sharp increase in complaints and investigations. Brown's legal proceedings are ongoing, but the cultural verdict feels close to final. Now, months after the arrest, he remains in a liminal space, still producing music, still followed by millions, but irrevocably altered in public perception. The energy around his name is no longer purely about talent or charisma. It carries a heaviness, a reckoning. Eli Rowe, who initially just wanted to create beats and build a name, now finds himself an emblem of resilience, navigating both unexpected fame and the weight of being a symbol. The situation has opened the door for broader discussions about accountability in male-dominated creative spaces, the responsibility of fans, and the dangers of conflating talent with moral infallibility. And as social media continues to blur the lines between fact, speculation, and emotional reaction, one thing remains clear. The world is watching, and the culture is changing.